You sit on the couch next to your partner, scrolling through your phone. They just got a massive promotion at work, and everyone is congratulating them. You smile, you say, I'm so proud of you, but deep inside your chest, there is a tiny, ugly feeling. It feels like a knot. It feels like threat. Later that night, without even thinking, you bring up an old argument. Or maybe you drop a passive aggressive comment about how they will be working too much now. You just sabotaged a moment of joy for someone you love. If this sounds familiar, you are not a monster. According to psychological research, nearly 70% of people admit to secretly undermining their close friends, family, or romantic partners at least once in their lives. Studies on human behavior show that we are actually hardwired to compare ourselves most intensely to the people closest to us. We do not envy strangers on the news. We envy the person sleeping next to us or the friend sitting across the dinner table. Why do we do this? Why do we hurt the people we care about the most? To understand this secret sabotage, we have to look at how our brains process success. When a complete stranger wins the lottery or buys a mansion, your brain views them like a movie character. They live in a different world. But when your best friend buys a new home or gets a huge raise, your brain uses them as a mirror. You think, they are just like me. We are the same age. We have the same background. If they are doing so well, what is wrong with me? This is where the psychological concept of self-evaluation maintenance comes in. Psychologists have found that our self-esteem depends heavily on how we compare to our inner circle. When someone close to you succeeds in an area that you care about, your brain processes their success as your failure. It creates an emotional panic. So, how does the sabotage actually happen? It rarely looks like an evil plan. It usually happens through quiet, tiny actions that you might not even realize you are doing. The first method is mini criticism. When your friend is excited about a new project, instead of celebrating, you immediately point out the flaws. You say, "Are you sure you have time for that?" Or "That sounds really risky." You tell yourself you are just being realistic and trying to protect them, but in reality, your ego is trying to pull them back down to your level so you feel safe again. The second method is mood spoiling. Right when your partner is having a great day or sharing good news, you suddenly remember something negative. You bring up a chore they forgot to do, or you talk about how terrible your day was. You shift the spotlight away from their success because sitting in their light makes you feel like you are standing in the dark. The third method is subtle comparison. You hear their good news, and you immediately match it with something about yourself. If they say, "I just ran 5 miles today," you reply, "Oh, nice. I used to do 10 miles every morning back in college." You diminish their victory to preserve your status. This brings us to the biggest question. Why does envy live so close to love? It happens because true closeness requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels dangerous. When you love someone, you give them the power to make you feel bad about yourself simply by existing and doing well. If you struggle with low self-esteem, deep down you might believe that love is scarce. You believe that if your partner becomes too successful, too attractive, or too happy, they will eventually realize they are better than you and leave. So you sabotage them. You pick fights. You make them doubt themselves. You shrink their confidence just enough so they stay small enough to stay with you. It is a terrible coping mechanism, but it comes from a place of deep fear and insecurity. Now pause and ask yourself a dangerous question. Have you ever felt a tiny flash of relief when someone you love failed at something? If the answer is yes, do not hate yourself. Acknowledging that uncomfortable truth is the only way to change it. Curiosity about your own mind is the key to healing it. So how do you stop? How do you kill the envy without killing the relationship? First, you have to separate their identity from your worth. Their success is not a report card on your life. Life is not a pie with limited slices. Their piece of happiness does not make your piece smaller. When you feel that bitter feeling rising in your chest, take a slow breath and name it silently. Say to yourself, "I am feeling insecure right now, and that is okay." Simply recognizing the feeling stops your brain from turning it into an automatic attack. Second, practice active celebration, even when you do not feel like it. Force yourself to ask three genuinely curious questions about their success. Ask them how they achieved it, how it feels, and what they plan to do next. Something amazing happens when you do this. Acting happy for someone actually tricks your brain into feeling genuinely happy for them. Emotion follows action. Finally, change how you view your loved ones. They are not your rivals in a race. They are your team. If your teammate scores a goal, the whole team wins. When you start viewing your partner or friend as an extension of your own team, their victories stop feeling like threats and start feeling like shared triumphs. The next time envy tries to move into your heart, remember that it only lives there if you give it a room. You have the power to choose connection over competition. Love is not about staying at the same level together. It is about having the courage to cheer for each other as you both grow.